Kathy here from Kathyskutekreations. Now we're going to move on to part 2, the second day of getting the quilt finished and assembled. And I want to go ahead and at the very end of this filming, I'm going to write down the directions, the sizes, and all that stuff so you can copy it out. Okay, up here at the design wall. Here I'm at the design wall, and I've started it out. Now, in my mind, it was a lot smaller because I went up to the 5-inch square to start out with, so it looks kind of weird just to start. But what you're doing is you're going to build on it. Now, you don't have to use, for example, I used the same colors up here. And I thought about it down here, and I'm thinking, should I use the same or should I just use 2 different here? It's like I was undecided. I didn't know. So I think it'll look okay this way. And I would think that even if all 4 of these were a different color, that would look nice too. Now I have these pinned because the darn things kept falling off when I put them up on this chair. So that's the first part. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking maybe I need to change my colors out. I'm not sure. I'm like totally undecided. Let me play with it a minute and then I'm going to be right back. Okay, that looks a lot better. Somehow I had that one right there turned totally around. But the main thing that I'm looking at when I do it is that a white goes in every one of these middles. I might knock it down to 6 depending on how big this gets. Of course, now if I don't do too many, it's going to be a fat, short Christmas tree. A fuller tree, that's what I should say, not a fat tree, a fuller tree. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep adding. Okay, so here I've got another row on here. And then let me give you a little bit of more explanation. So if you're looking at this right now and you're a more experienced sewer, you can see that this could be done with flying geese. Let's go up here to the top one and I'll show you. So this would be upward and this would be turned around instead of the wings. See, here's your goose and here's your wings. Down here you'd have your goose white and your wings red. Then you'd only have to sew one right there, one seam, which would put these 2 together. But in our case, we're going to have to sew these 2 together and then these 2 together. But this equals 1 row, which equals 1 block. Row 2 has 2 blocks. Okay? Now you can also do this smaller. You can do this in 2.5 inch, or well, in this case, if you want to do the flying geese, you can do it in whatever size your flying geese turn out. You just have to do the math on it. And then this is row 3, and I've started row 4 to show you how it is created. So you start with part of it off here, and you're making your 2 blocks together. So you're going upward, like a tree, upward, or a hill, whatever. And you've got 4 of them on there. Now we have to do the bottom part. So keeping in mind, let's just zoom in on this one right here. The bottom is going to go so that the white is at the bottom instead of the top. Here it's at the top. So we're going to put the white right up here. We're going to put them at the bottom to make this next block down here. We're going to put the white at the bottom instead of the top. So let me pick another color. Well, let's see. Let's go with this black right here. So let me get 2 of them. Okay. And like I said, we're going to go downward with it. So let me see if I can get myself unconfused. There we go right here. That's downward. Am I doing it right? Yep, because these 2 have this kind of weird angle. Oops, I have too many. Okay, and that's the way that one would look. I don't know if I have enough. Have I used that already? Yeah. I mean, I guess I could pair them up, but I kind of like just to do a variety. Let me sit and swap these out and pair them up and see if that's going to look, well, I know it'll look different, but let me pair them up and see what they look like. Hold on 1 second. Alright, so now you have an idea what it looks like if I keep the colors matched up. I kind of like it better now that I'm looking at it. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think that is exactly what I'm going to do. Is just change out All I did was lay them on top, y'all. Look, I still got it underneath there just so I wouldn't lose it. But I think I'm going to go ahead and do that and just make them so that they match like that. I like that a lot better. All right, let me match them up real quick so we can continue. This row down here, you start off, remember now, the wings, these white go on the outside because we're trying to make this white square in the middle. So you've got to have one hanging off of your row when you start. And you can either go straight across and do it that way, or you can do the next set of blocks down here, which are going to go with the, I want to call it the wings. The white is going to go on the inside like this. Because remember, we're making this thing right here, the way that that looks. And then take another one here. And we're matching the whites up. Just like this. So that that goes down like that. So you've got this shape right here. And let me put a couple. All right, let me go ahead and finish that row. And you guys continue making yours. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab the top row, which is those 4. And I'm going to go ahead and sew them together. And what I'm going to do is first I'm going to sew this. Then I'm going to sew that, because that's taking up a lot of space. And then I'll just do one at a time, and I'll probably just do one row at a time. So I'll make, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll make, because you'll see me doing this, I'm going to make this right here, and I'm going to sew that just like they're flying geese. Then I'll sew this one before I connect them, because I'll go ahead and sew these two, and this one together. So that'll be half of my row, and then these two, and these two, and then these two together, and then do the whole thing. So let's do that, because before I put any of these, each one of these sections, then I need to know the distance, because here I'm going to have to do my white, and I probably ought to know the bottom row. I may have to lay it out here on this table. Let me do that, because I went ahead and I started the 6th down there. Let me go ahead and do the 6th one. I'll move that first one off totally and then move it all up so I can do that, so I can figure out what my row is going to be, because I need to know the width of my fabric when I've done the 7th row in order to connect all this, because I'm probably going to want to put a little piece like I did on that other little tree that I made. But let me try it out first. Okay, so you want to make sure that you put your right sides together and you mark. And you're going to look at this right here. Make sure it's in the camera for you. You're going to line up so they nestle just like that. And I went ahead to the ironing board and I did, remember now, I did them all to the dark side. So this one I flipped over to the light side, the same with the other one. And then to avoid starting where this bump is, you know, where the thicker fabric is, because it's 4 pieces, I went ahead and I flipped it upside down and I started at the other end. And I'm doing it on both of them. I gotta take my shoe off because I cannot sew with it on. Alrighty, let's see. Let's just take our time. I'm doing a 1/4 inch. If you are worried that, or if this happens to you, you get to the tail end, every time you get ready to put your pieces together, the end of it has started to fall apart on you and the seams start coming out, then when you get to the end of your stitching, just go and make your length of your stitch lower. So instead of 2.5, make it down to 1.8 or even 2, and then it won't come out like it did. Go ahead and cut this apart. All right off the bat, I did it wrong. Okay, I pinned it wrong, which had me sewing it wrong. So I took it out, and now it's for the second piece of the first block. It's the white sides going together. When I came down here and pinned it, because, you know, I did it backwards, then I turned around and went right down the wrong seam. It's like, oh my gosh. Let's hope I don't do that for the whole thing. Just keep in mind that each one's going to have a white seam, or you're going to sew down the white so that there's background fabric. Let's put it that way. Let's cut this. And then I'm going to show you up here at the iron. So this is the way it's going to look. So each individual, I'm going to call them sets, okay? So they're going to be sets of 2. You're going to make the flying geese this direction. You're going to make the flying geese this direction. That's what I'm calling it. Don't worry about your quarter seam and all that. Then keep in mind that on one seam it's going to be the color of whatever the tree is you're representing. And then it'll always be whatever your background is, whatever yours is, cream, white, blue for the sky, doesn't make any difference, whatever your background is. Then the way that you're going to iron this back piece here, because I don't have any of that ironed, is you're going to have one go to the right and one go to the left so that they will nestle easier for you. So I'm going to start with this top one, and I'm going to have it go to the right. So I'm going to flip it this direction so that when I iron it, it goes that way. Okay? But first, I'm going to relax it like that. Then I'm going to pick it up. And let me put my camera down. There we go. Don't want it to fall off the ironing board. I'm right on the edge here. And then I'm going to take it and go like this. Now, if you don't want all of this here in the top, that big old bunch, then take your stick or whatever you've got. I have a stick. And you know, I have a whole set of them, but I went ahead and I bought one from Yvette. I want to support her shop. You know, and I have other people who sew in my family, so it's not like it's going to go to waste. And open this up like this. If I can get my little fingers in there, there we go. And go down the seam on this stick, which is a hard, firm surface, and rock it like that. Just like that. And then go like this, and it's nice and flat. And this is not going to be a, I'm just strictly going to put this on the wall. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care how big this thing gets, it's going on the wall. I'm not using it for a quilt. So now that I went and opened that up, I can do the same thing here. So let me relax this seam, and I'm going to open this one up. And then, of course, I'm going to have to show you how to mark it, because if you don't know how to mark it with it opened, you'll be confused when it comes time to put it together. We'll go ahead and we'll do that. So in this case, whoops, let me get my stick out of the way. This one went downward, and that one went upward. None of that's changed. Hopefully this is all in the camera. Shoot. It's not, of course not. It'd be too easy to be in the camera. Darn. Okay, here we go. And then flip it on this side. So look, I need to be an octopus, so I got a whole bunch of hands and arms and everything else. Now they're both laying nice and flat, just like that. And what we're going to be concerned about is this tip right here. So let me take you over here to the table, and I'm going to show you how to do it. And we're going to do every single one like this. All right, let's do that. So I have my ruler, I have my friction pin, my fabric. We're not going to worry about that top one. We're worried about this one right here. So we're going to go like this. And I'm going to look and find the little spot where the two match, and it's right here. And I'm going to mark it on my fabric right up off of that white. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to find it right here. And y'all might think, oh my gosh, this is so much work. But I'm going to tell you what, it might be a lot of work right now, but when it's finished, oh my gosh, it's going to be beautiful, y'all. Okay. And there we go. Let me show you it right up close. We're going to make sure that we don't go but right on that line right there, and we will not lose our tip. And so we're going to take this one upside down. Excuse me, we're going to turn it like this because we want to end up like that. Before we even sew it, we're going to go like this and make sure, yes, that's the right direction. And then you pin this, however the heck you pin it, I don't know. I usually start from the middle and go out, so I flip it around. And what I'll do is I will go ahead and stick my pin through the fabric because I want to get in the fold of that fabric to make sure I have it lined up, which I do right there. And I'm going to go from the left side. I'm going to put a little pin on it. Let's see if that's going to help me any. We'll find out here in a minute. There we go. So you hold it like that. Put your pin on it. And I'm pinning on this little flap right here that I opened up because I don't want this to flip over on me and shut when I pin. It really doesn't need to be pinned on the other side, but I'm going to pin it anyway, just to hold all this fabric together because this is a lot of fabric. I'll take this pin out, and he's going to go over to the other side, and then we're going to sew this. Now, this has one fold. If you don't feel like your machine can get you through this fold, then don't even try it. If this is what gets you stressed, the very beginning, because it tucks underneath, and you either don't have the foot, or the plate, excuse me, with the single hole, and you only have a zigzag plate, and you don't know what to do, all right, then don't start at the corner. Come down here and start, as if this was your corner. Go the whole way down, finish it off, take your fabric, turn it around, either flip it like this, turn it like this, so it's upside down. You'll have a seam running along here, and start right there and come right off, okay? Don't make this corner be a headache for y'all, because I know I've seen it on Facebook where everybody's upset about they can't get it to work. They're putting foundation paper piece, they're putting a piece of paper. It doesn't make any difference what you put, but if your machine doesn't like it and you don't want to bother with it, it's not going to take that much time to start over here and then go back over there. I mean, it's a couple of seconds. You want to enjoy this. You don't want to be rushed. So let me go ahead and sew this, and then I'll have one row completed, sort of the white part for the sides. I'm going to see if mine's going to work or not. If it doesn't, I'm going to move it around. If it works, I'm fine. Oops, my pin is keeping mine from even moving. Okay. Let's try it again. Oh, it doesn't like the thickness at all, does it? Okay. He does it. There we go. Like broke the ice or something. I don't know. Okay, and we're coming up to this. We're going to go real slow. I don't really want to stick a pin and break it. Okay, let me put my foot down here. Over here. Right in there. Tug a little bit on it to get it to go. There we go. Let's finish it off. Cut it and take a look at it. Alrighty, it looks good. Very good. Now you do your happy dance. Okay. Let's take a look at it. We're going to flip it around, and oh my gosh, does that not look beautiful? And then what we're going to do is you got a choice. You can either iron it flat, and you can go upward with it, or you can open it all up. But I think it will go upward. I'm going to go over here to the iron and see. There we go. It did. It wanted to go up, so I let it go up. So there we go. The block. We're done. That's it. I'm finished. No, not really. I got to go do the rest. I just want to let you know I'm all excited about that block. Okay. That's the way y'all all feel. All right. So let me go ahead and grab the next set. That involves 8 squares, because remember, row 2 has 2 sets of squares. So I'm going to bring them over here on the table and lay them out correctly. Then I'll pin them, mark them, and sew them. if they need to be marked. I don't think they need to be marked at this stage. All right, let me get over there. All righty, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the second row. And then after this, you guys are on your own. You're going to finish them off like this. So I'm doing it where I'm chain stitching it. I've already pinned it all. Nothing needs to be marked at this point. And I'm flipping it over so I'm not starting with the thicker side that has all that fabric in it. Because you can do that. You can sew it backwards if you want. Down in my head as something simpler. Maybe because in my head it was a 2.5 inch squares. So now we're going to open these up. I'm going to take them over here to the ironing board and I'm going to press them. All right, hopefully I don't bump the board or anything, and I'll try to keep it right in this area for y'all. So first, we're going to relax the seam. That's all I'm doing, just pressing it here. Now we're going to open these up. I'm going to lay them out on this stick here. Let's make sure you're in the shot. Okay, you are. Closer here. Open this up. Okay. And then press. When you sew over this, after you've sewn it with your 2.5 inch, if you want to go smaller because you're concerned about where these join, you can do that. It doesn't hurt a thing. And then I will press them here. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and mark that when we get over there, because remember, it has to go like this, and we're going to have to mark the bottom. And we only have to mark the top when we join the two together with this row and the other row. So let me move this aside. Now we're going to do this one here. It does make a really nice crease on here, by the way. Anytime you use a hard surface like that. And I love these little flat creases when they get like that. Make sure. You know, I probably should have purchased one of these for my giveaway. I don't know if everybody's got one of these or needs one of these. That's a pretty good idea. I still have plenty of time to add to my box. I got a lot of things that y'all haven't even mentioned in my box. That's going to be an outstanding box, just to let you know. Okay, let's press this, and this one here. You can see how flat it's laying. All right, let me take it over here. Alrighty, so it's a good thing I'm marking this twice, because I just now realized I did not need to move the fabric from right to left like I did before to see where that spot is. Actually, when this is all smoothed out, you can see it right there. Just I put my pin on the hole, my ruler right up against my pin, and then just marked. Just like that. And that's all there is to it. Get this thing out of there.
It's my pointer.
Okay, so then we'll just pin this together. And I'm going to do these just like I did before. Y'all can do the same exact thing.
Ow, I'm being stabbed by a pin.
And right there is my 1/4 inch. Get that right through that fabric. Gosh, I don't know what I stuck there, but it doesn't want to come through. Let's try it again.
Oh.
There we go. Stop moaning and groaning, silly thing.
You're hurting the fabric.
You know, it has little holes already in the fabric when it was woven together.
Those aren't holes. Those are pores. Ow.
Stop.
Ow.
Fabric sure does sound a little bit like you. Quit it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Alrighty, there we go. That's one. Now I'm going to get that other one out here. Gonna mark it.
Your ruler's uneven.
What?
Your ruler was uneven.
It's gonna look like that there.
Help, I'm trapped in a quilter's room and I can't get out.
It would be saying, I love this room. There's so much fabric in it. All kinds of things.
See, I don't know about that. Because
It would be saying
really...
it's crowded.
No.
I can't find a place on the shelf.
No, that's why we have different quilting rooms.
Oh.
No, it's saying help, I'm stuck because he's being pinned.
Okay. Go down to this end here.
Feel the wrath of my sharp little pin. Boink. It's already through.
I see that now. I just didn't want to get myself.
I saw it go through.
I didn't want to get stuck by the pin.
But it was already through.
Mm-hmm.
And now for the final event of Miss Catchy sewing. Wait. Ooh.
Now that doesn't take long, and we're going to go ahead and open them up before we connect them. Now we're going to be really, really cautious because both of these must not be clipped off. So we'll mark one and not the other. So let's mark this black one because I'm going to do it like this because the black was on the right. I guess I have a treat. So we made these the other day and Megan come up asking where they were at.
Yeah, I couldn't find them. I thought they were in the fridge.
So they were set aside. So I guess it's snack time. Let's set this aside real quick because I'm in the middle of sewing. I don't have time for a snack. For crying out loud.
You know what? There's a bathroom up here. You can wash your hands.
Okay, so in this case, because I can't see it, now I have to flip this. Bye and thank you, honey. Alrighty, so let's get close. And now I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to find out where my spot is at. And that is not a 1/4 inch, but we're going to work with it. Because I will just make my stitch a little bit smaller if I need to. There we go. And then we're going to put it together here with a pen. So, now we can't fold that the other way because it does not want to go the other way. I guess I could open it if I had to, but I don't really want to do that either. Okay, let's see. Maybe it needs to lay open. Let's see, should I lay it open? Let's see. We'll find out here in a minute. It doesn't really want to lay open either. It actually wants to go to the side. All that. Well, let's see here. I don't know if I should be. Let's see here. How much of a bump is that going to create? That doesn't want to go upward. Well, let's have that side go down. Problem is, I don't like it when it twists like that. That is a no-no to me. All right, hold on one second. Alrighty, so I went ahead and I pinned it. I marked it and pinned it. And now remember, at this end here, we're going to be matching, so you want to make sure that you nestle that. And then as I get up there, as you can see, some of that wants to pull, so I will grab my fabric and I will pull down on the bottom as it's sewing, which will pull that top fabric up. Like right here, you can see it. So as I sew, I'll pull this bottom as it comes through the sewing machine. I'll put a pin in here. There we go, just to keep it. Okay, let's go ahead and sew that. Alrighty, here we go. Oops. Alright, gonna need a little assistance. Let's pull it. And when you're pulling this now, remember, you're not pulling hard, because if you pull too hard, you'll make your stitches larger. You don't want them any larger. So I went ahead and opened up the seam on both, which is fine. I'm going to do it right down the middle of this one also. And then that's row 2 done. What I have done is, this is the kind of fabric I'm using. See if you can see it. See how it's changed a little bit? But it still has snowflakes on it. And each one of these squares, which I forgot to tell you, each one is 7.5 inches. That's what they end up being. I went ahead and on the tail end of the last row, because I'm going from the bottom row up for sizing, I cut 2 4.5 inch strips. I'm going to put them on each end. When I got done, I laid my quilt strip, or my strip at the bottom, number 7. It is 49.5 inches long. So that's when I decided to put 4.5, because each one of these little squares was 4. So if I put a half, I'm taking up for the 1/4 inch that gets sewed to the end. Each end will have a 1/4 inch lost. And then when you put your binding on, you're going to lose the 1/4 inch. So I thought that the 4.5 would be small enough. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Then I'm going to go to the row above it and add to it. And I'll come back and give you that dimension. Hopefully they all laid out correctly, so they should all go ahead and connect correctly. I'm undecided on the very last row. I know that I need to add a row. I'm not sure if I want to add a row on each side and then put the stem in the middle, or change the stem, because I've been thinking about that. So, and then also I want to add 1 row to the top, because I need to put something on the top of the tree. So let's go ahead and I'm going to sew each end here, and then I'm going to get the next row. Now remember, we don't want to take our tip off, so I've marked it and I've put the right side together, but I don't want to sew it on this side. I want to make sure I don't lose my tip, so I'm going to sew it on this side. So I've got the 7th and the 6th row laid out, and I'm showing you where I've marked them. I've pinned them, because like I said, I'm going from the bottom up. I just pinned it, put a whole bunch of pins in it, marked it everywhere I felt it needed to be marked. Now, when I make something, this is how I do it. So even though it's each one of these 2 on the ends would be 7 3/4, I went ahead and I made them 8 inches, because I never know if my ends are going to come out correctly. So I always give myself a little bit so I can cut off the remaining 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, whatever it is, because I just want this to fit for me. So like I said, I cut out an 8 inch and then I ended up taking 1/4 off, but I stretched this out to get it to fit. So I'm on the bottom 2 rows, the 7 and the 6. I'm going to go ahead and sew that. You guys know how to do the sewing. I don't need to show you, otherwise the video is going to be way too long. And then I'll start on the next one. But this is a kind of what I did to give you an idea how I figured out how to do this. I just wrote it down on my paper and that's it. I mean, it's nothing traumatic or anything. So I just got it for the next time if I want to do it, or just copy it. But let me go ahead and sew this row, and then I'll bring the next row down and tell you what the next 2 strips size are. I'm this far in the quilt. I've got the last, the second row. So I got 2 left. This is what I do. I roll it out here on my table, roll it all up because I need to be able to pin it. And I'm figuring out the size of the left and the right because I'm going to tell you right now, I fudge stuff. And the only reason I fudge it is because I can never get it out based on an actual pattern. So this is why I fudge it. So this is what I'm going to do. I take this and I put it here in the middle, right here, and I line it up. I go down here and I line this up, and you know now this is going to be 1/4 inch over, because this is where my seam of my next piece is going to be. So this one here is 18 inches, I believe. And so I'll take my ruler, because I always want to make sure that even though I sewed it that length, that's what works. So I take my ruler and I'm going to lay it down here. Hopefully the lights aren't going to kill us. I lay it right here. Here's my 1/4 inch on the seam right there. This is with my ruler. Let me turn it this way a little bit. So then I know I'm adding 1/2 inch to this. 1/4 inch, I'm sorry. I don't know why I said 1/2 inch. Let me move my ruler over a little bit. This over here to 1/4 inch. Like that. Jesus, those. Okay, so 1/4 inch just like this. Okay. And I put this up so I'm pretty straight along that line right there. This black line here. Okay. So I go all the way down my ruler. So there's my 1/4 inch. Go all the way down to the end where my fabric is at, right? You can see me back up here. My fabric right here. And that is saying 21 3/4 is this line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do actually 22. So I'm going to go ahead and make it 22, and then when I pin it all, I'll make sure that I don't have any extra. This fabric here is horrible when it comes to stretching. And I'm adding this. See, here's my first fabric right there. So this is a little bit different. So this is acting totally different. And that's what I'm taking into account when I fudge this. So I'll put a little extra. Like I said, I'm going to make it 22, although it looks like it should be 21 3/4. But when I pin it, I'm going to make sure that I pin the corner here at the 21. So I'm going to take 1/4 inch off that I've added, if it will allow me to do it. If this won't stretch enough, now this is based on the kind of fabric that you have, because there's fabric that I've used that I've made the whole quilt for and it was fine, but when it come to put this extra strips, it's like there was no give in it. I mean, I don't know why. And then I was short 1/4 inch, which just frustrated the dickens out of me, being a new sewer and everything. So that's what I'm doing. I fudge everything that I do. But if you're going to measure this for yourself, you know, and you're just doing the measurements, you're going to want to do 21 3/4 for the length of this strip, which is going to be the second row. And I'll give all the length strips out for you. You know, you can always add that 1/4 inch on each side just for yourself. You do what you want to do when it comes to your quilt. But I don't trust a lot of the directions. So that's why I said I fudge a lot. So let me go ahead and cut this strip and then get it sewn on this this little 2-block strip here. This is how I made the star that I'm going to put on the top of the tree. I took my die. So this is the Go die. And it is 4.5 wide by 4 inches high. And I traced it onto a piece of paper. That's this piece right here, the inside. Then I took my ruler and went on the outside to create it a little bit bigger. Now I'm cutting it out. I put it on, this is just a piece of cardboard, like that. And I used a rotary cutter, which this is my one that I use for paper and stuff. And I just took it and went in and out. Well, I went in and in and in like that. And so now I've just about got the whole thing punched out. I'm just going to have to do a little bit, I think. And then I'm going to take a piece of fabric and I'm going to applique a star onto a 7.5 inch square, which is going to be above the tree. I just wanted to stop real quick and explain how I came about to do a star, because I don't have any star templates. I'm sitting here and I'm attaching the, I guess you call this the pan that you'd put your water in, and the stem to the tree. Now all I've done is a straight stitch. Let me get down here and see if you can see. You can see straight stitch. I went up, over. This is actually the back of the fabric. The fabric was a darker brown, but I wanted something lighter, so I just flipped it over. And I'm coming down here, and then I'm going to come around and meet it right here. So I'm just letting you know. And then this, okay, so that, you know, that you can cut that out. That's just my own, I wanted to make sure that it was underneath the arch of the tree. I don't even know how big it is, to be truthful with you. I just happened to have had a piece of, and I do have fusible on it. So that block is 2 3/4 by 3 and, is it a 3? Let's see, yeah. 2 5/8, I guess. That's the size of that. Let's get that glare off there, okay? And then this tool is actually this product right here, which is from the Missouri Star Quilt Company. Okay, I guess Natalie Dawn must have created this, but it's the 10-inch half square hexagon. I have the big one, and I think I have the little one also. But boy, I tell you what, when I decided to do this, that basket right there, I thought, oh my gosh, I can flip that thing upside down, just like that. And that's what I thought about. I mean, up until today, I didn't give it too much thought of how I was doing the bottom of it, but I just wanted to let you guys know. And as soon as I'm done stitching over to here, I'm going to be done, and I'm going to show it to you.
Action.
So here's the finished quilt, and I've already forgot the size. It was 56 wide by 65.5 tall. That is before I ironed it. I put a star on the top, and I put a container on the bottom with the stem in it. And that is the Christmas tree. I hope you guys all liked this video. And if you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe so you can get some notices, and keep watching. Okay, there you go. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Alrighty, so I misspoke when I told you the size of the tree. It's actually 58 wide and 65.5 inches tall. Now let me explain the directions to you, starting at the top row, keeping in mind that the very top with the star as well as row 1 are the same exact size, because on the very top I took a 7.5 by 7.5 inch square and sewed it to 2 strips. Each strip on the right and the left are 24 1/4 inch strip. The next row, which is considered to be row 2 of the 2 little pieces of the tree, is, and keep in mind that every time I'm going to tell you the size, you're going to cut 2 of them, because you have to put one on the right and one on the left of the tree. So the second row is 21 1/4.
The third row is 18 inches. The fourth row is 15 1/4 inches. The fifth row is 11 1/2 inches. The sixth row is 8 inches. The seventh row is 58 inches. And that is not the pieces that you cut. That is the total length of the row. And the way that I came up with it is, at the very bottom of that last row, I put 4 1/2 inch on the right and a 4 1/2 inch on the left, so that the entire row became 58 by the time I've sewed it together. Then for the very bottom row, which is underneath the tree, that is the one that has the stem and the little container that the stem is in. All I did was, because I did not have one long 58-inch piece of fabric, I took 2 fabrics, made them 58 inches long, or 58 1/4, let's put it, sewed it together to make it 58 inches, and then right in the middle where the seam is at, I appliqued the stem as well as the little thing that the stem is going in. And I also appliqued the star in case I didn't say it. Hopefully this is not too confusing. I'll go ahead and I can write this down if you want it down in the comments. A lot of people are using their phones, so they won't be able to see it. That's why I want to do a voiceover to tell you what it was. I hope this wasn't too difficult, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And thank you everybody for watching. Bye-bye.